Sebastian Vettel evoked memories of the famous Red Bull Multi-21 controversy when he disobeyed team orders from Ferrari to let Charles Leclerc through at the Russian Grand Prix. Unlike on that day in Malaysia when he ultimately triumphed over Mark Webber, who we'll hear from shortly, things didn't go Vettel's way in Russia. Before his retirement at Sochi, Ferrari took matters out of the driver's hands by engineering the position swap during a pit stop phase, a luxury Red Bull didn't have in 2013, as that situation erupted in the closing stages of the race.
There's a lot of history here. Brazil 2012, when Seb was going for the championship off a line, he was disappointed that I could have given him more room, and then he felt that he got compromised in turn one. So I believe that was still on his mind this day. But ultimately, the race, we were getting smoked. Like, we weren't quick in practice. Lewis and Nico were fast, and we were under pressure that weekend to get the job done. Before the race, I said, like, obviously, if we get in a position today to start managing stuff, because everything's on the limit. Obviously, cooling, Malaysia, it's such a hard Grand Prix on everything, let alone the drivers. And there will be a call after the second pit stop that we probably need to manage stuff, particularly tyres. And if we start unloading on each other, we're going to definitely help them. Seb's under a lot of heat from Lewis. At both stops, he could have been undercut at both stops, where I couldn't have been. So I had that sort of 2 or 3 second buffer, so I had the margin, just marking that off, because we all know 5 or 6 seconds you don't really, because you could get into trouble with your tyres. So I was in that good window of getting range from my tyres, but making sure I had enough to cover the undercut, which was Seb for the whole race. But he couldn't clear really the undercut from then, so he always got that first stop, if you like. And then after the second stop, I took mine, and he was right there. And then the call come, like, the race is off. It's all good, race is off. We've beaten the Mercedes, they're done, and now it's you two, and we've got 8 laps to go, like, just cool it, let's bring it home. And then it was like a lap late, it's like, well, hang on, I've turned everything down here, and he's coming at me like a train, so he's obviously got everything wicked up big time. But he just loaded all that up and said, I'm coming at you. So, and I'm just like, it was, the only thing, I'm stoked that we didn't crash into each other, just for the team. Would have been stupid. He passed, I'm just like, I was torn between how we got ourselves in this situation, such a shame. He then, apologised in and around the podium. He's like, we got to talk about this is crap, this is what, he obviously went against the team, there was a lot of heat on the radio. Some of it's still not out to this day, obviously, but, and then I had Dietrich. I was dealing with Dietrich straight away. He's like, mate, this is not, we need, so Dietrich was on to me, and the next 48 hours was really tough, and he's getting grilled there in the press conference, and it's just a shit sandwich, really. Lewis wasn't happy with third. The podium that was a bad press conference, because no one wanted to be there, and no one was celebrating. After he did get the bird, after, I think he got 2 birds, actually. As we've seen quite a few times, that he can get torn between what he wants, what he'd like to do, what he does do, or what, his heart and his head, and he just gets this little bit of, I suppose, panic about certain scenarios.
While Vettel apologised immediately after the race in Malaysia, his stance was more defensive 3 weeks later at the Chinese Grand Prix. In between repeatedly saying that he was sorry to put his team in that situation, Vettel also said he didn't think what he did was that bad, and that Webber didn't deserve to win. Vettel didn't feel the need to apologise for winning the race. He said that was his goal, and in his own words, he succeeded. The incident raised questions over Red Bull's management of its star driver, with TV broadcasting a rather limp "this is silly, Seb" message from Christian Horner. Horner's leadership as team boss was called into further question when he was asked after the race why he didn't order Vettel to give the place back, and he said, "Do you honestly think he would have given it back?" That led ex-F1 team boss Flavio Briatore, who was part of Webber's management throughout his career, to say the saga was proof that no one was in charge at Red Bull. Briatore accused Horner of showing weakness by not appearing on the podium with the drivers, and he said any team boss with balls would have ordered Vettel to let Webber back through. He added that Red Bull was terrified to have a driver in charge of its team instead of the team boss, although he later claimed his quotes were misinterpreted and that he had a lot of respect for Horner. To this day, Horner doubts he could have done anything, saying in an interview in 2018 that the only thing that could have prevented the situation was if Webber had already left the team before that year. There was more focus on Horner's role given that Mercedes had a teammate battle of its own between Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg in the closing stages of the same race, which Ross Brawn ruled with an iron fist to prevent his drivers fighting each other. Although in years to come, that rivalry would become somewhat harder to manage. Behind closed doors, Vettel told Webber the Malaysia incident was payback for the 2012 title decider when Webber squeezed him towards the Interlagos pit wall at the start. 4 corners later, Vettel was hit by Bruno Senna and spun around, having to charge back through the field to win his 3rd world title. Webber had to be ordered aside during that charge, having chosen to race Vettel when they ended up on track together again. Addressing the media in China after Multi-21, Vettel said he never felt he'd had the full support of Webber in the past, and that there were previous incidents where things didn't go as they should have. Webber says he already knew he was leaving F1 by the time of the incident, and he failed to win a race in his final season before switching to sports car racing with Porsche for 2014.